finding the NSFW content that people have made and having to delete my browser history every time I try to find fan art or a fan theory.
Stargate SG-1 MacGyvered a movie into a series.
Stargate SG-1 was the first series of two more series of Stargates after this. The first of 3 series is what I wanted to say.
Stargate SG-1 is something I've been meaning to watch for over 10 years now, and this finally got me to do it.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast, which we watch the first episode of a series so that you don't have to. It's almost like it was Stargate SG-1 of 3. With us, as always, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, who can count every single different series that belongs to a franchise.
1, 2, 3. The world may never know.
He's a pro, and that was a quote from the Tootsie Pops, right?
Yeah.
Also, we are joined by meteorologist Katie.
Hey, how's it going?
She's also, internet celebrity and, TikToker. She's a Viner, probably, if Vine still existed.
Oh, she would have been. She would have been a Viner.
Oh, hardcore. Totally. Anywhere I can be silly for fun, definitely.
My name is Ryan T. Husk. Check out my Vine page, and you'll know what I'm all about.
Hey.
All right. Here we go. If you'd like us to review a show, just say WTF and the show's name in the comments below. Like you could say WTF Taxi or WTF All in the Family or WTF He-Man Origins, because that's one we haven't done yet.
Oh, is that actually a thing?
Yeah, I think it was 2004. Our good friend, shout out to Aaron Musicant, was obsessed with that show, if I remember correctly.
And he is something he would be.
He's a He-Man connoisseur, yeah. Anyway, that stands for Watch the First. So do that in the comment section below, and let's get into it. Please be sure to like this video. Please be sure to subscribe. Share it with your friends. We got meteorologist Katie. Michael is always here with us. I'm here. It's a party. We're going to review Stargate SG-1, Episode 1, Children of the Gods, Part 1. Also, quickly, Michael, disclaimer, right? Guys, we didn't do the entire hour-and-a-half pilot. We just watched the first episode, which is a 45-minute Part 1.
Well, that's what we do, is we just only watch the first of things. And if the first just happens to be a Part 1, we're not the ones that put the show up on Hulu, so we can't make the decision to only watch the first. So we just watch the first of things.
We can't be held responsible if other people like to extend a beginning into 2 or 3 episodes. We're just going to watch the first, and we'll see how it goes. And everybody at home is like, yeah, but you gotta what? Well, we don't.
Or do we?
Those are the rules.
No, we don't.
But maybe we do.
But we don't.
No. All right, let's get into it. Very first game is my favorite game. Am I skipping ahead? I don't think so.
Nope.
How can you skip ahead if it's the first game? All right.
It's not.
It's what? No, it's predictions. Predictions, my favorite game.
Predictulations or predicaments. Vote in the comments on the live chat. Let us know, which do you like better, predictulations or predicaments?
Or if you want to be the boss, predictators. All right.
I could go for that one too.
On the finger point, though.
All right. So, because Michael and I have known each other for a really long time, so we can usually guess if the other guy liked it. Sometimes we're wrong, usually we're right, but it's always based on what we know of the other person. Here we go. I predict that you did not care too much for this. Not that you hated it. but I think you may be slightly sub-medium on this. Katie, I think you're slightly above medium on this. You know, like if Michael's hovering around the 4 range, you're hovering around the 6. I don't know. You can be pretty critical, especially of old stuff that came out before you were even born. I'm going to drop you down. I'm going to drop you down to a 4.5. You're going to be around the 4.5 region. What do you think, Michael?
Okay.
I think that there was a lot about this that Ryan did not like, but he does like sci-fi, and he doesn't appreciate a show that's trying to do sci-fi. I think I remember watching this movie with Ryan, maybe in the theaters, or maybe in a home video or something like that. And I think I remember him having a positive response to the movie. Obviously, this is not the movie. This is the TV show that was spun off from the movie. So I think Ryan's going to be medium, 6 or 7-ish.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty warm medium.
Medium warm. Yeah. Katie also enjoys science fiction, and she enjoys so many different random fandoms.
Hey, there's the plug.
That I think that she found some things to enjoy in this, and I think that she's a solid 7 on it.
All right. Well, Ryan, I'm thinking it is sci-fi.
Yes.
And based on the elements that I saw in the episode, I think you're like maybe medium well on the scale there. So I'm going to go with probably a 7.5 for you. And Michael, I don't know why. I think it's the gate behind your head, but I think you really enjoyed this. So I'm going to say you probably were around an 8.
Wow, you're an 8. So
Yeah.
we're running the whole gamut today, guys. So everybody at home, make your predictions. Do you think I liked it? Do you think Michael liked it or loved it or hated it? Do you think meteorologist Katie liked it at all in any way? Yeah, there it is. Wait. Put your votes in right now. Here we go. And to buy you some time and to help you decide, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg is going to tell us what this show is all about anyway.
I will buy us some time by telling you that Stargate SG-1, a secret military team, is formed to explore other planets through the recently discovered Stargates. In this episode, Colonel Jack O'Neill is brought out of retirement to lead a new expedition back to Abydos, only to find an old friend, a new enemy, and a far wider use of the Stargate.
You've got a far wider use of your voice. Here we go. Big money, everybody. It's going to only get better from here, promise.
No whammies.
Yeah, just kidding. All right. Well, guys, you put in your votes. You're about to find out bit by bit what we really thought of this. In a game we call What We Expected versus What We Got, also known as
Expectations.
I would totally mess up that name.
Katie, remember when I said it's only going to get better from here?
Were you lying to me, Ryan?
Yeah, I was lying to myself.
The best part is all the fun names that I come up with all of our segments.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine like behind your webcam, there's a list on your wall of like, okay, remember how to say this one and this one.
No, I just know it. I know it's in my head. So I made it up. It's just like Paul McCartney. He wrote a song, it's in there, so he knows it.
But they kept them simple to make them easy to remember, he said.
No, he said they made them memorable to make them easy to remember.
Very true.
That makes sense.
Expectations is catchy. Very
rolls
easy to
right off the tongue.
Yeah.
All right. So here we go. We compare and contrast what we expected versus what we got. What we expected before we watched it, that is.
Mm-hmm.
So, Michael, before you watched this first episode, what did you expect?
Before I watched this first episode the first time, a year or so ago.
Okay, the plot thickens.
I expected a cheesy 90s science fiction show along the veins of like a Babylon 5. And let's not forget, right, this is science fiction, but Ryan does not like Doctor Who, which is also science fiction.
Doctor Who is like science hoke. It's like hokey.
I will find you. No,
I'm right here. Here I am.
Which one? Which
with
one
my buddies. I'm here with my buddies.
It's my turn still.
Sorry, please continue.
So I expected a cheesy 90s sci-fi show.
Well, all right. Katie, before you watched the episode
I just wanted to rile Katie up because I knew that she'd get riled up when I said that. I don't know. I didn't think that was news, but
what did you expect, Katie?
Well, last week I watched Stargate Universe for Orville Nation, and the first episode of that started a new thing.
Hang on. Shout out to Orville Nation, by the way. We love Orville Nation, PJ Thomas, and that's how we met Katie in the first place. We do want to give a really big shout out. Sorry for interrupting you there, Katie.
Oh, no. PJ,
PJ,
he's the best.
We love him.
But yeah, well, we're doing a new show on the channel, and so I watched the first episode of that, and it was kind of like, 2000s, everything's grungy, gray, sexy, sort of science thrown together. And it's just like, ugh. So when I was like, okay, SG1, I mean, this one I think came before, so I think maybe it's a little bit better. And then I clicked on the first bit of it. And I'm just like, okay, we'll see how this goes. It was not what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be much more.
Spoiler.
But what
like,
did you
grungy.
Expect? What did you expect?
I expected it to be like hardcore, grungy, bottom of the barrel sci-fi. I don't know why. I just thought it was going to be one of those dark shows where all the characters are just brooding. Just
like The Expanse or something.
Yeah, something like that.
All right, here we go. Big money, everybody. So I'll tell you what I expected before I watched it.
Okay.
I expected that this might be the one with Richard Dean Anderson, because I know that there are a lot of Star Trek fans that are just gaga over Stargate. And they've had 3 series, and I believe Atlantis, which might be the second or third one, has Bob Picardo in it, which is really cool. And we do love ourselves some RDA, Richard Dean Anderson from MacGyver. So I expected, and everybody knows this guy, TLC, right? Don't go chasing waterfalls. What's his name? Christopher Judge. So I expected a pretty good sci-fi show with MacGyver in it, who's awesome. And I expected to enjoy it. I also remember, I don't think I saw it with you, Mike, but maybe I did. I did see that movie, the Stargate movie, a long time ago, whenever it came out. And I do remember feeling positively about it. I remember enjoying it. I don't remember any of the details. I just remember it being like Egyptian mythology kind of stuff and kind of the gist of what the Stargate does. And I love that stuff. That stuff is cool. So I expected maybe more of that, but that's what we expected. What did we actually get, Michael Kenyon? Rosenberg.
That's here present. I got a cheesy 90s sci-fi show. It's based off of the movie, but it's definitely not movie production quality. It's definitely not movie acting quality for sure. But I do agree that there is the good part, the great part about it is the mythology aspect. And as we find out in this first episode, that the Stargates don't just go from one. There's not just the 2 Stargates. There's many more Stargates in the universe.
Right. There's SG1. There's Atlantis. There's Universe. Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. And more than that too. So, Actually, I think that they're working on a new Stargate show, from what I've heard, with Amanda Tapping. Was there Captain Major Carter?
She's a
Captain
very
Major Doctor
major
Captain
model
Carter.
of a modern major
Captain. Yeah. Yeah, so there's definitely more. I mean, it leaves a lot open for the shows to expand because of the open universe of the Stargates, where you can kind of go all these different places in the universe.
Mm-hmm. Well, Katie, that's what Michael got.
Mm-hmm.
There weren't a lot of spoilers in there, though. He's still holding his thoughts close to the vest. What did you actually get?
I was really surprised because it seemed like they had good humor, which some of the shows that I've seen definitely don't when you get a little bit closer to the 2000s. So I actually liked going back towards the 90s and this time and the older school sci-fi and the mythology. I had no idea that this was about like the Egyptians and the Ra god and everything. Like, I was a kid who was brought up on Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, so I was like, Ra, I know Ra. I have Ra's card in my closet. Like, what? And so now it's more of an investment into, okay, how does this actually work? How are they tying in real-world mythology into sci-fi? And I got surprisingly hooked on it. I was not expecting it.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what I got.
Okay.
I got a bunch of people sitting around a campfire talking about the good old days. You know how like you hang out with your friends and you're like talking about like high school and you're like, remember that time we did this? And remember that time we did that? Hey, remember that guy that, you know, that's what they were doing for almost this entire episode. They were reminding us or telling us for the first time what happened in the movie. And then it made me think, I wish I'd seen this movie at any point more recently to where I kind of knew, but then I was like, but then do I really need to? Because it sounds like they're covering all the parts that are relevant to this show. So it's kind of like an either or, where I was like, I wish they would stop talking about that movie and just let this first episode stand on its own. But it really didn't for me. It didn't stand on its own at all. There wasn't a ton that happened in 45 minutes. But I very much like that mythology, and I think it's got a ton of potential. I just don't think that it showed much of that potential in this first episode, is what I think. But Michael, let me ask you this.
First half of the first episode.
No, this is the first episode, which is the first episode in a two-parter. Michael, it sounds like you're going to be defending this for this. So let me ask you this. Had you watched the movie recently?
No.
Wow.
That's better than me. I haven't seen it at all.
It was like everything. It was before you were born, Katie.
Right.
You know.
Probably. I don't remember when it actually came out.
I do remember a fair bit of it. Number one, I remembered it was like Kurt Russell and James Spader.
Right.
MacGyver and Glasses guy here.
Yeah, Glasses Magoo.
Yeah. But I remember they activated the Stargate, went through the Stargate, and they ended up on Abydos, which is this planet that's kind of a mirror of Egypt. The whole planet is just Egypt.
Ancient Egypt, yeah.
Ancient Egypt, yeah. They've got a pyramid, and they've got like the people seem like they're Egyptian people that were brought there by Ra, and then Ra comes down in a spaceship that like goes and like lands on top of it's like a pyramid shaped spaceship, and it lands on top of the pyramid and like loves on it. And
do you think that if the pyramid leaves, that they say it disappearamid?
I don't think they say that, no, because that doesn't
say that.
actually leave, yeah.
Like 15 seconds. I thought of it when he was saying pyramid. I was like, give me a pause so I could jump in. Okay.
Yeah, and then they blow up Raw in his spaceship, and then
so
they
there.
go home
So
and everybody's happy.
MacGyver is taking over the Kurt Russell part. It's like a
Right.
recast. Okay. Because the way they were talking, they were saying you did this. You know, they were talking like he was the main character of the movie, and I didn't think that it was him. But yeah, James Spader was in it, and Kurt Russell. So, what about TLC and Amanda?
Captain?
They were Captain Doctor was and Teal'c were not in the movie.
Okay, it did. I do remember it being kind of militant. When did the movie come out?
It had to be early 90s, I'm guessing. Maybe late 80s.
Well, then we definitely didn't see it together, Michael.
Oh, that's probably true, yeah.
Yeah.
It had to be 90s, yeah. Let's see. Stargate.
Katie, did you even know that they were
94?
Okay, 94.
Ah,
So right
that
when
was
we had
minus
met.
2.
Yeah, so we probably didn't see it together.
Katie, did you know that they were referencing a movie? Did you know there was a movie in existence at all? Or were you just kind of guessing?
I kind of had a feeling, because I knew SG-1 was the first one of the like TV series franchise. And I was like, there's already this much they're talking about. There's got to be some sort of a movie or something. So I figured I was missing something. And I didn't mind the exposition in this one, because I was just like, wait, what? So I think they did a decent job, if you haven't even seen the movie, of being like, yeah, this dude has background with these guys, and there's this Raw guy. Okay, we're all caught up.
Michael, and I'm asking a lot of questions about the movie, but was that other guy, what was his name? The guy that was on the other side, not Daniel, Skara. Was Skara face? Was he in the movie prior to?
Yeah,
was it the same actor?
I don't remember that.
Good old Skara face.
It looked like him, but I think that they recast Daniel Jackson's wife too. Let's see, Alexis Cruz, Skara. He was, it's the same guy from the
nice
from the movie.
Okay, I'll tell you where they started to lose me. Okay, no offense to everybody that loves Stargate. I'll tell you where they started to lose me. When MacGyver says, "Oh, really? What's his name?" or "Who is this guy?" and Major whatever Sam says, she says, "You mean she?" or something like that, right? Cool, funny, cute, good, right?
Oh no, he says, "Oh, where's this guy coming from?" And it's like, she is coming from the Pentagon.
Right. So cool, right?
Cool. That was lame to me.
But then they spent 15 minutes on the same gag, on the same joke, where they're like, "Oh, what kind of dolls you play with? G.I. Joe? No, this. I'm a girl. I'm a boy, but I'm a girl, but I'm a boy. And here's a girl thing, and here's a boy thing." And they just kept going over and over. There was a point where like I forgot I started like doing some work, and then I tuned back in. I was like, they're still talking about it. They're just talking about this for 10 minutes. And then I come back in, and Major Sam and MacGyver
Captain,
are like
Captain Carter.
Yeah, Colonel. Yeah, Captain.
She doesn't become a major till later in the series. So.
They're flirting. Then all of a sudden, MacGyver and Captain Kira are flirting, and they're talking to each other, and they're like laying it on like super thick. And I was just like, get me out of this scene, dude. What, you guys? This is terrible. Cut all of this into 10 seconds and move on, was my problem.
Well, they're obviously trying to set her up as like a love interest for
Colonel
Jack O'Neill.
Just too much and too fast.
They could just give each other a look, or just be like, she could say, those calculations aren't bad for a man, or like a little zip back where we go, ooh, maybe these two. Anyway.
Yeah. See, I think I didn't really get fazed by it, because that is all the TV nowadays. It's like, well, I'm a girl. Well, I'm a guy. It's like, kill me with a spoon. Like, this is just awful. So it's par for the course at this point.
Mike, you liked it, huh?
No, I thought that part was pretty lame. All their kind of bickering, going back and forth. oh, did you play with dolls as a kid? Yeah, like that was like
G.I. Joe.
I wrote in my note. What did I write in my notes? The guys were like, "You're a girl," or something like that. Like they're just being stupid about it. But that was the '90s, I guess.
It was just the amount. I was more bothered by the amount of time, like the fact that they put 15 jokes or quips or gags about that in a row. That bothered me more than I could look past, one or two cheesy things from the '90s, whatever. But it just kept going. But sometimes we talk about like something that's clearly a pre-existing franchise is a lot more patient in their delivery. They feel very confident that they already have a fan base. This kind of had that because that scene could have been 30 seconds and they could have just moved right into going into the Egypt town within the first 10 minutes and had like a full 45-minute episode, not needed the entire second half probably. But they had that pre-existing franchise, and I bet the fans of that movie probably already loved it.
But the thing is that Captain Carter wasn't a part of that original movie. So I think what they're trying to do, unsuccessfully, I might add, is they're trying to bring her into the crew. But, they're like, oh, we got to haze her because she's a girl and this is the military.
But they also flirted shamelessly in front of it. It was that.
Yeah, it's confusing. I don't think Hollywood knows how this actually happens. To this day, they don't understand how normal humans work. So
how people flirt in real life. They're like, they're just gonna stare longingly throughout the entire meeting. What's the big deal? The Pentagon lady and the Air Force captain are gonna be kissing and stuff.
Yeah. The way it happens nowadays, or so I've been told, is just, look, how's it going? About your day. And just one little contact, it just goes. It's not oh, hey, I've never seen you before. I like your face. Like, that's not how that works. That's just...
Maybe, sometimes.
If I meet a future husband, just go, I like your face, and it works after that, then I will be okay with this episode. But until that point, this is wrong.
Now, on that subject, can we just pause for a moment and everybody in the live chat, look at Michael's awesome shirt and how nice it looks with the Stargate behind him and all that. Doesn't that look great? We were complimenting it before we hit record, but we realized everybody else, I'm sure you've been noticing too.
It is perfectly paired with the Stargate.
Yeah.
Well, did you specifically choose it for that? Yes. Oh.
Okay, Mike, was that a reference to Lord of the Rings?
Mm-hmm.
Good job. Because there's a moment where Gimli falls off the horse and he goes, that was deliberate.
Yeah.
Good job.
Obviously. Come on.
Good work. Anyway.
Back to the Stargate.
Yeah, let's just talk about this for a moment. Who was your favorite character in Stargate SG-1? Part one of Children of the Gods.
I think I hear an echo in here.
That's tough. That's tough for me.
Because you like them all so much.
Well, no, because, obviously, it probably makes sense from some of my comments that I've seen the whole first episode in the past.
Maybe the whole series.
Not the whole series, but more than one episode. And I can talk a little bit more about that later. But
oh boy,
we don't really see a lot of
going.
We don't really see a lot of him in this episode, besides some grunts and some kidnapping. But Teal'c is one of my favorite guys in this series.
Yep.
Teal'c. Teal''C.
Well,
cool name.
And let's just say he ain't no scrub. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
TLC.
Yes.
Ain't no scrub. Thanks. Katie, who's your favorite character, Katie?
I can't remember his name, but the nerdy guy with the glasses and the allergies.
Daniel Jackson.
Yes, because I think he's
Daniel
Dr.
Jackson.
Daniel Jackson.
That's
I think he's
Dr.
cute.
Daniel Jackson to you?
Yes, Dr. Daniel Jackson to me is actually kind of sexy. So I think that's the only reason I went with him.
Michael Shanks is the name of the actor. The James Spader replacement.
I'll just pretend it's back in the 90s and won't look him up for now.
I remember James Spader being really good in the movie, but that's because he's a really good actor. I'll tell you who my favorite. Who's the old guy, by the way? He looks familiar. I feel like I've seen him in other things.
General Hammond.
But what have I seen him in something else? He seems so
Played
familiar.
by...
There's a General Hammond in the show MASH. I don't know if it's played by the same guy, but
Don S. Davis. Major General George S. Hammond.
Boy, oh boy.
He was also in A League of Their Own.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think I remember him from that.
Well, so I'll tell you my favorite character. I'm also buying some time. I don't know. Like
Twin Peaks.
Like
I think you've ever seen Twin Peaks,
I think the guy I'm supposed to like the most is TLC. Because I remember liking him.
But he's a bad guy.
But it tells me that means I didn't just watch the first movie. I must have seen a couple episodes here or there, possibly, because I remember him being a good guy. Like at some point, he must leave the bad guys and go to the good guys. Now, I thought I was going to like MacGyver the most, but here was the issue I had with MacGyver. It
wasn't MacGyver.
They did not let him have that same charm. I don't know if the actor just played it differently on purpose, or if they just said, no, we don't want MacGyver dropped into Stargate. But then what I got was honestly a character that could have been played by anybody. But I'm like, if you're going to have Richard Dean Anderson in there, let him do what he does that makes him so likable. But he was not nearly as likable as he was in MacGyver. I like him, but he didn't do anything for me. So, oh God, which is too bad because I really liked him in MacGyver a lot. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that my favorite character was, I don't know, maybe
Carter.
Maybe Guyliner, the head bad guy, Guyliner. Was that Ra?
No.
You know, the head bad guy.
Apophis.
Yeah, Apocalypse.
The Goa'uld.
Yeah, the guy that told him to do stuff.
Goa'uld, yeah.
I don't know. Or maybe it was MacGyver, I guess. But
his name is Apophis, yeah. He's a Goa'uld.
Yeah, like TLC. Did you guys notice?
Teal'c is a Jaffa.
What's the difference? I didn't know that there were more than... I thought they were all Goa'ulds.
No. There's a difference.
By the way, those snake heads.
How could
they were
you
a little
maneuver in those things? How could you even see anything out of those?
You go to walk through a doorway and you're going to clip yourself.
And you can't see.
They probably have taller doorways than we do. So.
True.
You know, yeah, but then... Yeah, what about if they're going in somewhere that has smaller doorways?
That's all I need to do to stop them.
There was a point, I don't know if you guys noticed, but they kept calling that planet or that place Abydos. And then I think Daniel started calling it Abydos. He goes, how long are you going to be in Abydos? And then Sam goes, we're going to be in Abydos. Like it was they were going back and forth, pronouncing it completely differently back and forth. It was so funny.
That happens all the time.
Yeah.
Well, so first of all, you'd have to assume that Daniel Jackson would know because he's the linguist and he's been living there on the planet.
So he's probably pronouncing it correctly, and everybody else is pronouncing it wrong,
bastardizing it. Right. So one thing is the Goa'ulds. It's pronounced Goa'uld. But then General Hammond's always the Goa'ulds, the Goa'uld.
Silly humans.
Yeah. So it's obvious that I've seen more than one episode. This show is like my compromise show with my wife because she loves this show and I had never seen it, and I love Star Trek and she had never seen that, and so right now we're in a So we started out with Buffy the Vampire Slayer for her and Star Trek Deep Space Nine, or Next Generation. We watched
I was
all
gonna say
that.
you started on Deep Space Nine.
No, we
what?
Next Generation. So we watched all of Next Generation and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Then we watched all of Deep Space Nine and Angel. And now we're doing Enterprise and SG-1.
Yeah, but this is 10 seasons.
Right. So
Yeah.
And Enterprise is only 4.
Right. So I'm gonna have to. I think I'm gonna try to get her to watch Voyager after that. So.
Yeah.
Well, you know
I was
what?
gonna say you skipped Voyager. How can you do that?
Well, because I had never seen Enterprise before, and I wanted to see it.
Okay, we got to talk more about that, but not right now.
But that's why I'm watching it now.
Yeah.
Wait, is that a show that I've seen that you haven't? What?
There are probably a few of those.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So back to work, you guys. They mentioned Stellar Drift, which I thought was kind of cool. There was Skara Face. There was Shira. That guy's wife's name was Shira. I saw it was spelled SHA-RE, which is like you just flip the E and the A and it's Shira.
Yeah, Share.
Yeah. Ooh, that's weird. Maybe someone with dyslexia typed it up. Who knows?
Yeah, but she's not as badass as Shira though. She's pretty wimpy actually.
And then they had to they showed a moment where like when she was introduced, her introduction was to be shy and then run over to Daniel and be like, like that. And I'm just like, what a terrible way to introduce somebody. And then they start making out at some point. Everybody's hooting and hollering like they've never seen a married couple kiss before, and they're going ballistic. It's like they're in a locker room hitting each other with towels on the tush. Get them. Ah, look at you.
It was like kind of reminiscent of the movie Hook. Like it was just like a bunch of, I guess the Island of Misfit Toys would be a better fit. They just in little colony being all boisterous. With only like one female. I didn't see, were there other women or was it just guys and then woman?
Oh, maybe that would explain
there's
it.
other women, but
that because I'm thinking that would explain their reaction. Like,
no, but Ryan was just talking about like with them making out, and you're like, that's just like that movie Hook, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, well, no, like, you just got
I
this
don't remember
band
any
of
making
people.
out in Hook. Yeah.
No, as far as the boisterous jubilation of youth, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, there's much older people on that planet, as you see in later episodes, and
cool.
Yeah, we're in like season 4 right now.
What did you guys think about? And this was hitting me throughout the show. What did you think about the music? Because I thought that the opening theme song was really cool. I enjoyed it a lot. And it sounded very much like, oh my God, I'm drunk. Katie's looks super fuzzy to me right now.
Oh no, I just realized I went, okay, I gotta do what a Dega does. And just, gosh dang it. One moment here. We're just gonna, whoop, I'm gone. And now I'm back. Supernova. Gosh dang. Okay, 1 second.
No, now
here.
you're back. You're good.
Now you're good.
You're
good.
Yeah.
But now it changed color.
Yeah.
What?
Looks cool. Looks cool. But the music, you guys, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it's
but
good.
Was it just me, or did it sound almost exactly like Indiana Jones? I thought it was. Was it Indiana Jones? It sounded very much like. I think it was not the main Indiana Jones theme. Now just the women.
You should do a concert, Michael. You should just do that.
Come back, everybody. Come back. He's done. It was very reminiscent of Indiana Jones to me. I mean, I liked it a lot, but every time it started playing, I kept going, Is that Indiana Jones that I remember?
You're talking about like the score or like the
the
theme?
score, not the opening theme. The score
Okay.
that went through the episode that they kept using. But the opening theme was great. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Anyway, Katie,
Okay.
did you like the music too?
I liked it because it wasn't too bold. A lot of times I get very distracted if the music is overpowering and just is trying too hard. And this one actually seemed to flow well with the episode and the action that was happening. So I thought it was a good fit.
I loved it. I loved the opening theme, and I loved the score that went throughout. I thought it was beautifully done. I thought it kept coming on, and every time I was happy to hear it. I wish it would have played during their flirt sessions.
You just turn it all the way up. You can't even hear them talking anymore.
Yeah. Well, any final thoughts on this, Michael, before we turn the page onto something else?
Yeah, I'll say that I do remember a lot of other things happening in this first episode, but that must have been from part 2. When there's like literally that's like when everything really comes to a head and everything really happens. So
good to know.
Interesting.
For all those parties out there, all those certain affected parties that may be wondering if there's more to this first episode, there is. This was just part 1.
Most people that are watching this have probably seen all of Stargate, and they're like, stop crapping on my 4th favorite show. We're like, we're not. We're saying good and bad things, and things that, that are interesting.
Medium, yeah.
Nice mix of both.
Now, by the way, the opening scene where the 5 of them are playing poker, I was like, are they copying Next Generation? But they weren't.
No, they didn't. Because then
they shouldn't have been playing it.
Aliens came out of a wormhole and shot everybody up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that we're not going to just get them back every episode playing poker because they're done.
Right.
All right. So speaking of interesting things, meteorologist Katie, it's time to talk about you for a moment.
Ooh, delightful.
First of all, thanks for joining in on the fun. Secondly, everybody knows Katie. Sometimes you know her from, videos and viral things. Many people know her from Orville Nation. Some people watch her on television or see her cool Star Trek weather or her Animaniacs thing that I have no idea how it was humanly possible. But and everybody check out that stuff in the description box below. But today, you've got something new to tell us about, don't you?
Yes, I do, because my channel is actually starting to have content outside of my random fandom forecasts. And that's actually, we do a show about a show called the Avatar: The Last Airbender. And it's a kids cartoon that aired on Nickelodeon from like 2005 to 2009, I think. But it is like unlike any kid show you've ever seen, and actually adults are loving it because they brought it to Netflix. And when they did, my friend from college and I both started to rewatch it. We thought, we might as well do a podcast or stream on this. And so every Wednesday we pop on and we review one episode, and we talk about not like reviewing the episode, but deep dive into the lore, some fan theories. Oh my gosh, you guys should hear some of the fan theories. There's a cat that's committed war crimes that we have found and just divulged all the information on. It's incredible. And we can just have a blast. It's such an easygoing cartoon, even though it's about the genocide of an entire race and everything's great. But it's really going to be a fun time every Wednesday.
Now, everybody at home, we know what you're saying right now. You're saying WTF, The Last Airbender, or The Last Starfighter.
Avatar, The Last Airbender.
Yeah, because we've heard,
Yeah,
I've definitely
the
heard of that. People have mentioned it a bunch of times. Oh, it is a TV series, right?
It is the TV series. M. Night Shyamalan tried to make a movie, and the M. Night shat upon it. It doesn't exist. It's widely renowned as one of the worst bargain bin movies you can find. And if you watch the series of Avatar, I will gladly pop on and rewatch the movie so you guys can see how terrible it is.
We don't do
But the
movies.
show is incredible.
We just watch the first of shows. So.
You could watch like the first of a trilogy.
We'll watch the first episode possibly of this Last Airbender series. That could be a pretty interesting thing because it does have a cult following. We've definitely heard about it.
Oh my gosh.
It's around.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
When did you start this new podcast and how far along are you?
Yeah, we started it back probably April or May, but because tornadoes and television both got in the way, because myself and my co-host Brandy both are in the television industry, we've kind of been skipping every other week recently, but we're only on episode, I think, 13, and they're 22-minute episodes. So it's incredibly bingeable.
Okay.
And
we like those.
We had a guy who watched the entire 3 seasons in 1 week and came back to the show. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm so invested in this now. And we're like, dude, we didn't even do that. It's that addictive. It is such a good story.
I'd
argue it's the
Very
best
addictive.
story. Yeah. It's the best story that I've ever seen presented on television. To put it lightly. That's how much I recommend it.
Wow. Michael and I just referenced one of our old songs from back in the day called Rice Pudding that we just went over recently in one of our previous episodes. But it was funny that we both thought that as soon as you mentioned addictive things.
It's very addicting. I'm off. Okay.
Yeah. So now, Katie, the final question about podcasting. Was there any big surprise that happened during this podcasting journey of 12 or 13 episodes? Were you surprised at how fun it was or how difficult it was? Was there just like a surprising moment that you're like, wow, this show is shockingly better than I expected? Was there anything like that?
Wait, for Avatar or for Stargate?
Oh, not for Stargate.
Avatar.
For Avatar.
Okay, for Avatar. No, I think the most shocking part that I've had from this entire experience of producing it and putting it out there is finding the NSFW content that people have made and having to delete my browser history every time I try to find fan art or a fan theory. And then mercifully, and this is the best part, I found out there was a filter for that sort of thing. So I could just check it and we're good to go now. Everything's going smoothly since like episode 8 as far as that has gone. But the amount of work that goes into it, I was not prepared for the traumatizing pictures. That was the most shocking part.
Of a children's cartoon.
Well, it's, yeah. It's, because they expanded it beyond that, and they had a follow-up series, and everyone is married and has babies, and so it's all the adult things. It's just like, it just burned my eyes. So just enjoy the childlike wonder of it, and don't go on the internet. And I feel like that's the same for most things in life.
Right. That's probably solid advice for anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you can go on the
Reddit.
internet to watch Katie's podcast, of course, and that's on your YouTube channel.
Yes, so many random fandoms, or Smurf, because Smurf sounds really fun.
WTF Smurfs. Yes. That was the best cartoon ever.
Better than He-Man?
Those were my favorites, and Robotech. And Transformers, and G.I. Joe.
And G.I. Joe. Come on.
But those were kind of like the pinnacle. Well, that's awesome. Everybody be sure to check out Katie's podcast and all of her extra stuff. It's going to be found in the description box below as Michael is directing you in the right direction. Please check that out, everybody. And now it's the moment we've all been waiting for. It's the time that Michael and I bicker over a name, the Terrible Twos.
Bottom line.
Michael calls it the bottom line. Everybody knows it's the Terrible Twos.
And it is called the bottom line. That's why I call it that.
Katie, what do you think is the better name for the final 2 questions of the show?
Oh, see, I think they're fun questions. So I have to go with like the bottom 2
Bottom
lines.
line.
There, we can merge it. The bottom 2 lines. I can't pick. Don't make me choose.
Yeah. But the fact is that you are more on the side of the bottom line. So I am thinking I'm going to be happy with that answer.
Your questions are fun. They aren't terrible.
Yeah. Told you, Mike. Okay.
See?
So the final 2 questions of the show, starting with
Bottom
number
line.
1. Number 1 is, and by the way, these are the 2 most important questions of the show. That's why really it should just be called the bottom line, but it's not. It's called the Terrible Twos. So on a scale of 1 to 10, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, what would you rate this first episode of Stargate SG-1, Children of the Gods, Part 1?
Part 1. Well, it was very cheesy. There was a lot of those dumb sexist jokes that were just dumb. They weren't even funny. Like if it was like funny sexist jokes, that's one thing, but these were just dumb sexist jokes. So that's takes it down a notch. The acting wasn't great, like you had mentioned, and I had mentioned it when we reviewed MacGyver. RDA is great as MacGyver, super charming. But I did say that I had been watching SG-1, and he's just not as good as Colonel Jack O'Neill. He doesn't have that MacGyver charm. But it's hard to rate just the first episode without like all the other episodes that I've seen bleeding into it, but I will. And I'll say that this first episode for me rates at about a 6. Rates at about a 6. There's definitely could be better, but even just watching the first episode, you can definitely tell the potential. They went 10 episodes, 213, 10 seasons, 213 episodes. So you know that there's definitely a fandom out there, and I like it, and against my better judgment, I have to give it a 6 just because of the poor quality of this first episode. So,
Katie, your thoughts? Scale of 1 to 10.
You know, I liked it better than I thought it would, and I haven't seen MacGyver. I haven't seen any of the shows with these actors before, so I have nothing to reference them. And I really enjoyed it. I wasn't thinking I was going to, but when you throw in the mythology on top of space and science, that's where I just pop up. That's how to summon a Katie. And I think I'd give it a 7.5. And the only reason I'm taking off some of those points is because of the stupid like interactions with the one girl on the team, and just be like, oh, you're a woman. It's like, yeah, and I could kick you in the crotch and we'd be done with this conversation. Can we go to the Stargate? Like, that's how I wish that would have ended. But other than that, no, this is really cool, and yeah, I like it.
Would have been good if it ended quickly, that scene. Yeah. All right, here we go. That's it. Now I gotta say this thing that I'm about to say, which is
okay.
You know, I really wanted to give this a lower score than I'm going to give it, but I'm finally bumping up because against my better judgment, because I feel like it has a lot of potential. I don't usually rate something on potential, but overall, when you're watching something, you do kind of judge the potential. Even if they're not doing very well on this episode, you're saying, you know what? But it's got a lot of cool elements that could be very interesting moving forward. And that for me is all the Egyptian mythology stuff, and the fact that there's a Stargate that connects to this, and multiple places with Egyptian mythology, and whatever. It's got potential. So I'm bumping it up to a 5. I'm giving it a 5 overall. Now, yeah, it was okay. It was okay. But now,
this is the money shot right here.
It is. Question number 2. For the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch the first episode of Stargate SG-1. But now that the podcast is over and we're free to move about the internet, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, would you watch the second episode of your own volition?
You mean the second part of the first episode? Yeah, I would. Because I have seen it before, and I do know that that's when everything really starts to happen in this episode. This whole first part of the episode was really mostly just setup, but the second part 2 is when things really start to go down.
So you're saying you would watch the second episode based on the fact that you'd already seen the second episode?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, based on this first episode too, I mean, it's got enough, like you said, it's got enough potential and enough like things to, and it's an old enough show that you're like, okay, this has got to get better. It went 10 seasons. It's got to get better than this this weak first episode, where they're spending most of the time telling us about what happened in the movie, setting up what's going to happen in part 2. And yeah, so I would just based on this first episode, even I would watch the second episode. And actually,
Nice.
Fun fact, I had watched before we watched Stargate SG-1. My wife had us watch all of Stargate Universe.
Weird.
And you learn that the Stargates were built by a race of beings called the Ancients. And so it's fun for me to go back and watch SG-1 now as they're starting to piece together some information about the Ancients.
Cool. Lots of cool world building. We like that.
Yeah.
That's the most fun stuff.
And not just one world, like really every week it's a new world that they've built, including a world populated by beings called the Nox, starring Armin Shimmerman, which is a pretty cool episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That one's pretty early on. I think it might be like season 1 or season 2. So.
Stop trying to convince her, Michael. Katie, strike that from the record. And would you watch the second episode of Your Own Volition based solely on this first episode?
It's already queued up on another browser tab. So like after this, I'm watching it because I've been meaning to get to this series, but I genuinely like I had other shows queued up, and I'm like, goodbye. This is what I'm going to be focusing on. I want to know more, and I think this is probably the first time I've been on with you guys where I've had the highest score for a show, and I'm invested in it now. I want to see more of Cute Glasses Guy.
Katie,
Daniel Jackson.
Yes.
Their weird accents.
Katie, you had the lowest score, tied for the lowest score for Thundercats.
Oh gosh. I imagine you have a spreadsheet now.
Yep. You had tied for the lowest score, the lowest score for the Dark Crystal.
That was a creepy one.
To be
fair.
You had the highest score for Devs. Oh no, wait.
Really?
No, you weren't Devs.
What?
That's the wrong line. You're the next
No.
line.
Did I forget
You're the next
I had a
line.
show?
You had the lowest score for X-Men. And lastly, you have the lowest score for the Red Dwarf. So yeah, you are correct. Wow.
I can't believe I've been on so many times.
I was too optimistic in my prediction. I have to start scoring lower for Katie when she's on.
Well, now you got to score higher because love this one.
Okay. And real
Ryan.
quick before I get to mine, Katie.
Okay.
What shows are being bumped in favor of Stargate SG-1 right now?
Well, right now it's Dragon Slayer, the 12th Doctor for Doctor Who, but that's technically a rewatch, so that doesn't count. Okay, did you see classic or actual, like New Who? That's all I have. Classic Who or New Who?
I think Ryan's only seen the first episode of Classic Who.
Oh, you can't. No.
That's how I felt when I watched it. Yeah.
Even the 9th Doctor doesn't count. You got David Tennant. Start with David Tennant.
The 9th Doctor is my favorite, though.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I love 9, but it's so 2009 cheesy. And if he doesn't like the cheese side of it.
Number 9.
And that first episode isn't great either. So.
Oh, no. But yeah. Anyways, an aside. But yeah, no, that's been bumped. A lot of anime because I've just gotten into anime and I'm kind of a weeb. But
Okay.
a lot of it, like 3 or 4 shows have been bumped.
All right. So that being said, I would not watch the second episode of this Stargate series based on the merits of the first one. If I didn't know anything about it and I just watched that first 45-minute thing, I'd be like, okay, moving on. I mean, I might like Google around and like sift through it to see what it's like, what's if it gets better, you know. But nah, it didn't do enough for me.
It does get better.
I'm sure it does.
Right now.
I'm sure it does.
I'm giving you the answer.
I'm not even saying that I won't watch more of it. I very well may, but based on this first episode of my own volition, I wouldn't, go out of my way to watch the second. Sorry guys, don't hate me. I still like sci-fi. I just
Do you?
Generally speaking, I don't just like sci-fi just because it's sci-fi. I like cool stuff, but I love the story and the mythology of it all. I thought that was really cool. Anyway, that's it for us, everybody. If you'd like us to review a show, just the first episode though, say WTF and that show. WTF Fat Albert, WTF Airwolf, WTF Blue Thunder, WTF Knight Rider, WTF the A-Team, WTF
I'm seeing a theme here.
Manimal. Okay.
WTF Columbo.
Anyway, I think that's about it, right, guys?
I don't know. This guy Ryan. I don't know about him.
Oh, and
that's my terrible Columbo impression.
One more thing. That's all I know about him. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Here we go. So what I'm trying to say is, and by the way, they actually said they MacGyvered something.
MacGyvered, yeah.
That was pretty cute. That's a
nice little Easter egg.
It took us 15 years and 3 supercomputers to MacGyver a system for the gate on Earth.
Let's see. So what I'm
like
trying to say.
DiCaprio meme, like, I saw it.
Yep. What I'm trying to say eventually is that this podcast MacGyvered, MacGyver.
This podcast was Ryan again being yet again a curmudgeon.
This podcast was one where I came out saying I'm going to watch every single episode after the first.
Wow.
That'd be a very long series for you guys. Watch every single episode.
I think it's like 200.
213 episodes. Yeah.
Hour-long episodes. There goes my winter.
Anyway, everybody at home, give us your comments in the comment section below. Give us a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and always remember what Mr. Michael Kinnan Rosenberg likes to say.
Don't forget to register to be an organ donor and watch the first of things.